Ladies and gentlemen, I have to be honest with you. I am incredibly disappointed in Ross over Cursed Farms. Despite his disarming Hyraxian countenance and endearing extreme conflict aversion, I can't let this slide. Let me show you.
Thor here has been the #1 voice on the campaign, and he's been lying about what it is. That's a bit loaded though. In this case, I'm using the second definition of lie. I have no evidence it's the first.
Terrible take, Ross. Your kind and gentle spirit has clouded your vision. It's clear, unless you're a total sucker, that Pirate Software was doing the first. 2 points here. Firstly, while my intro criticism is a joke, I do genuinely think if you're going to be dropping accusations of lying on someone, it's gotta be that they're deliberately practicing deception. This second definition thing is a bit slippery and doesn't even apply, because it clearly relates to the metaphorical characterization of things that don't have intent. Though some would disagree, Pirate Software is indeed a person and not just a thing you can interpret and mislead yourself with. Second point about this, he's totally doing the first. I understand Ross's hesitation and his stated reason being,
I have no evidence it's the first.
But actually, yes you do. See, if you want concrete, empirical evidence of someone lying, you'd have to be able to read their mind. You'd have to be able to show that they did absolutely mean to deceive, and that it wasn't a slip or a mistake, that they didn't forget something or misunderstand. YouTube doesn't yet have a built-in brain scan function, and yet we can still fairly call people liars. How is this possible? Well, it's this wonderful little thing called deduction. You look at a collection of facts and you draw a conclusion from them. And if that conclusion is reasonable, you can go ahead and state it to the world. Like this. I think Pirate Software is a liar. Now, why ever would I say that? Several reasons. Let's go through a few of them, starting with the one I think is the most fun. So, in a very tiny nutshell, Stop Killing Games is what it says on the tin. They don't want games to be snapped out of existence when publisher support ends. There are multiple reasons for this, but in the case of their current petitions to governments, they are pursuing a consumer rights angle. They want live service games to have some kind of end-of-life plan. When they shut down, they don't want it to just evaporate. They want there to be something. Specifics left to be negotiated. In other words, they want to mandate that going forward, games have some sort of contingency plan to prevent them from being wiped from functioning existence, if they are at risk of that. Now here's the fun part. Did you know that Pirate Software, before even looking at it, guessed correctly and was afraid that that's what it would be? On April 7th, months before he published his first video about it, he was asked about Stop Killing Games.
Check out Accursed Farms on YouTube or his website, Stop Killing Games.
So I'd be really interested in looking into this. The thing that I'm worried about at the outset is wanting to put any type of legal framework together to force studios to have a contingency plan for games that are live service games. This is the concern that I have.
Months before he made his first video, he stated fundamental opposition to any law mandating any kind of Plan B for live service games. He is fundamentally opposed to the petition in its essence and at its core. He then states that he will be looking into it.
So I want to go research it first, because everyone's been talking about this.
And elaborates on why he's against any kind of mandated contingency plan.
Because I don't want, and this is the real one, I don't want the government telling indies that they have to have their live service game stay online forever. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. But when you're talking about a legal setting to force people to do this, you're generally moving in that direction.
He's scared of the slippery slope. It'll go in the direction that people be forced to keep their games online forever. Specifically, he says he's scared for the indies.
You get a whole lot of these problems where there's like smaller games, and everybody's focusing on the big juggernauts. They're like, what happens when World of Warcraft goes away? I want to play World of Warcraft. But you're not thinking about how this could impact everybody in the space. Just the big titans. Everybody wants to stick it to the man, and they forget that, well, the man is not the only man on the board.
Agree or disagree, noble enough? Worried about the costs this adds for the little guy might stop people from making live service games when they otherwise would. So over the next months, he goes off, does what he said he'd do. He's going to look into every little bit of Stop Killing Games.
Read a whole bunch of stuff. We see every little piece that they're talking about.
And before making his first video about it, he certainly saw Ross's Europeans Can Save Gaming video, because he quotes it. In that video, Ross compares the loss of games to the loss of films.
And now most films of that era are gone forever. That's very similar to what's happening to video games today. It's just a terrible practice for everyone involved.
Multiple of the examples on that page he pulled up to show us what we've lost and what we lose are MMOs or otherwise online multiplayer games. Further to that, he claims that the initiative would apply to free-to-play games that have microtransactions.
This would also apply to free-to-play games that contain microtransactions. Because if you purchased a microtransaction as a good, then the game is made unplayable, well then you just lost your goods.
The intended scope of the initiative is clear and is reflected in the petition's text. Given that he must have seen this and more, I think it's pretty bizarre that his very first comment on the initiative, in his first static video on it, is this.
The reason why I have a problem with Stop Killing Games is specifically it starts the wrong conversation. If we're trying to kill off the practice of developers putting together a live service game, pitching it as a single-player experience, and then taking away support in the future, this ain't it.
Correct, it ain't, and it's not meant to be. But he later further asserts that that's its supposed purpose.
Doesn't call out the specific practice that this is supposedly trying to defeat.
It cannot be claimed with any credibility that he believes what he just said is true. He is being willfully deceptive. He was lying. Pirate Software is a liar. And why would he lie? Because he knows exactly what it is. He knows exactly why they're doing it and what they want. And we know months ago, he was scared that was the case. He wanted to smother it in the crib. He knew it had barely any chance. And it's not his fault if it fails, but it is his fault it has practically no chance. Now, if he destroyed something he didn't like honestly, fair play, respect, but he didn't. He instead decided to employ a more effective tactic. And what tactic is that exactly? Well, iDub should look into this, because this is a genuine example of what concern trolling actually is. Instead of tackling what he disapproves of head-on, Pirate Software has constructed a fake problem. To be clear, he addresses issues he has with end-of-life plans for games, but he pretends that's an accidental side effect of them messing up the initiative, instead of it being exactly what they're trying to get. This framing is incredibly important and powerful. It allows him to present his arguments against the initiative as evidence and proof that they're doing things wrong, instead of as his opposition to their movement, which it actually is. You see, he's here to help. You want to do this thing, but the initiative won't get you that.
In the niche cases where a studio is trying to sell a game as if you are buying it or purchasing it or using that language specifically, and they give you a live service game instead, I agree that should change. That language should change. You are not purchasing the game. You are not buying the game. You are paying to have a license to a live service experience. I get that. Is that what this is doing, though? The initiative is not trying to call that out specifically. It's trying to say that all games need to stay in a functionable, playable state, which is not calling out the language that is being used to manipulate the player. Call that out specifically.
See, he's not actually against what they really want, and he's on their side. They're just going about it the wrong way. The great gaming authority is correcting some people who are misguided. That's what's really happening here. He just thinks they should be more specific, except that specific thing is not what they're trying to do. And he knows that. Perfect little narrative, nice little story for his audience to pick up and propagate. Disingenuously present a false story when you know the true one, because it will have the effect you want. Pirate Software fully understands this tactic and hates when it's done to him.
This strange idea that somehow that one player was a mysterious figure that no one knew who he was is kind of stupid bullshit. It's just propaganda at that point. Big mean Mr. Streamer named the player. No, dude, everyone knew who he was. He was the mayor instead of me for a month. And he acted like a jackass with the title. It's concern trolling is what it is. That's exactly what that is.
Yep, and it works, doesn't it? Works real well. Very effective to add that extra layer of obfuscation. You're not just clashing, the clash itself has been warped, such that before you can fight back, you have to straighten out what's real. Imagine an alternate reality, where Pirate Software brings his true concerns, the ones he'd previously stated, instead of presenting his issues with the end-of-life stuff, as if that was an unintended side effect of what they were really trying to do. Instead of repeatedly stating it's vague, he said it's precise but broad, which is different, and that he's worried what will end up happening will impact indies, and it's easy to guess it wouldn't have been as impactful. Even the focus on the little guy would make less people care, and to a lesser degree. That's why instead, in his video months later, he went with this.
If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, then no one's going to run them. And we're going to miss out on adventures like Final Fantasy XIV.
Over those months between his stream and this video, did he change his mind about the everyone wants to stick it to the big guy, but please think about the little guy's argument? Or did he realize that would make his self-interest too apparent and be less rhetorically effective? Probably more about, they're coming for your Final Fantasy, hitting better than, they're coming for your Realm of the Mad God Exalt. Something to think about though. As someone who's a little bit of a polemicist, I love the art of just lasering in on something you don't like and hitting it as hard as you can. Watching these videos when they first came out made me feel such second-hand embarrassment. And I'm glad there's a reason to talk about him again, because there are a couple little bonus nuggets I didn't touch on before that are pretty funny. Under his first video, he pinned a comment with an FAQ. One of the things he addressed was why he wouldn't talk to Ross. The reason he stated was, I think his position is disingenuous due to his comments about how this could be pushed through government. Here he's referring to Ross's list of why he thinks the initiative could work, including that politicians like easy wins and so on and so forth. But what he was doing is the literal opposite of being disingenuous. Disingenuousness would be him pretending he didn't believe these elements were at play, to deceptively provide a picture of the situation he didn't believe was true. You're criticizing him for being excessively honest and open. You're attacking his character wrong. And then, after trying to attack Ross as a disingenuous person as a justification to not talk to, platform, or engage with him, Pirate Software had the audacity to write in the description of his follow-up video, "No, you will not silence me with personal attacks. Fight the argument I am presenting." Another thing he hates happening to him, but understands, is effective. Now, to be fair, this second video is better. He provides some novel arguments, and quickly watching it over, I don't see anything that I could call a lie. But it absolutely outs him as a fifth columnist.
And the last take that I got from this is, and it's the most reasonable to me, this is an initiative, it's not a law. Why are you upset? Just wait. I'm not going to wait. And the reason I'm not going to wait is because I see the start of this conversation not making sense. It's not including the actual developer side of the conversation. It's not showing the trials and problems that this could arise inside of the gaming industry for people who are actually making the games you play.
Yeah, because it's consumer advocacy activism. They're fighting for their interests, as they should. And they should as hard as they can. Hey man, I'm a carpet salesman. Before you go and haggle with these other carpet salesmen, you should really consider their feelings. Make sure your starting price is low enough to be real comfortable for them. I'm sure it won't go any lower. Correct response to that would be, fuck off, shill, as it should be. Here, Pirate Software tries to paint Ross as not the guy to talk about this. But while my position is anyone can talk about anything, if there were a person who should not talk about this, it's the game dev being cheered on by the industry.
I received hundreds of comments from developers thanking me for putting it out.
Yeah, I bet you did, right? Anyway, let's wrap it up by looking at some new stuff. Pirate Software responded to Ross's recent video on Twitter. I believe he's now deleted it, but of course, the internet is forever. Supper, Cursed Farms. I put out 2 videos disagreeing with your initiative 10 months ago and haven't talked about it since. Pretty much true, but that's because Ross is a softie and let you get away with that shit for far too long. For instance, this stuff absolutely warrants a clapback.
Oh shit, now this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
I wanted to go and check it out for myself, see the context of these statements, particularly the used car salesman one because I was curious, but I couldn't find which VOD it is. The video he's reacting to went up July 31st, but there's a gaping hole in Pirate Software's livestream archives between the 29th of July and the 14th of August. I've been searching for salesman and car in the transcript of VODs after that point, but I'm not finding the clips. In any case, since Ross has receipts, there is certainly more than just those 2 videos, so the I put out 2 videos disagreeing with your initiative line is a bit misleading, isn't it, buddy? He continues, now your initiative has failed and you're blaming me for 33 minutes of the hour-long video covering it. There's a bit of blame, and a bit of blame is deserved, make no doubt.
Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to.
Just in those 2 videos, or do you mean some of your streamer buddies as well? We'll never know. Anyway, while there's some blame, Ross was addressing statements he should have addressed directly earlier. Your community is out in force, shitting up our streams and socials with hate messages, threats, and snide comments. Well, you set that tone in the apparently now deleted VODs. Not the threats, of course, but just report that shit, whatever. Since you're so set on cutting up my responses into pieces to try to make me seem unhinged, I'm going to drop my videos here to show the actual context. I disagree that's what he was doing, but since we're All about transparency here. Can I have those VODs? Or are we going to pretend now there were just those 2 videos? There's also a massive pinned FAQ on the first video. We all knew this, but YouTubers don't write, do they? Massive. Come on. To quote back to you, if you're going to hate me, at least hate me for what I'm actually saying. I've seen the videos a couple times each now, and I don't think he perverted the meaning of anything. That's your party trick. The only engagement I've seen that is level-headed has been from Lewis Rossman. This might not be deliberate, he might just not remember, but what happened to Asman? In the FAQ, you recommend his take as well. For context on what I'm thinking, a little while ago, people got mad at Pirate for collabing with Asman. Did he bitch out of saying his name because of that? I'm fine talking to people that are level-headed about this. Ross is the chillest dude on YouTube. I can have a conversation, but to be real, dude, every time you've been involved, your orbiters turn shit toxic instantly, and it sets me off. Your community is fucking rabid, and it's shit to deal with for anyone on the other side of the argument. Oh, his community's so nasty, they make snide comments. How do you behave? How are you talking towards Ross and his stuff?
Eat my entire ass. The level of stupid that I just had to receive was like sitting on Twitter for 12 hours. This shit sucks. That's a really stupid ass move. That's an incredibly stupid ass move. I think this is ass. This is complete garbage. All of this can eat shit then. I drop the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. That sounds stupid as shit.
You would ban you from your chat. I don't want to hear anything about decorum from you. Why do you think I haven't talked about this shit in 10 months? Because you said everything you wanted to. May I have an example of what you would have said? Why do you think we auto-mute anyone bringing it up in chat? Because you a bitch. He says because it's been rage bait and shit-flinging the entire time. Your own Reddit had people openly talking about causing drama in our community to try to stir up more support. Oh, so it happens anyway. I still disagree with your movement for all of the reasons I stated. That's unlikely to change, and at this point I'm more than fine with that. Stay frosty. So I guess ultimately, Pirate Software is a poor, battered victim of this horrifying beast. Clearly, the violent rhetoric Ross is known for has sent his audience into a blood frenzy, and being a giant loser is the only way you can keep yourself safe. You know what I think? You're not scared to talk to him because of his audience. No, people like that would have swarmed you no matter what when you took the side you did. No, I think you're scared of talking to him because in conversation, it will be impossible to dodge how much of a prick you look like in comparison. And you don't have the balls to say to his face what you were saying on that stream or those streams that are now apparently gone.